it's what you would call someone that wants to kind of be friends with their kid. So I'm sure we all, I mean, I had lots of friends that parents were like this. It was, you go to their house and party and their parents are upstairs drinking or they're in the party. So they care less about what is best for the child. They care more about getting the attention even from the child's friends, like having the attention on them. So they're more willing to allow the kids to do stuff because they want to be cool. They want to be friends. They're not very confrontational. They don't have much backbone. So, they're the ones who just want to get through the day. And most likely these are where the drug addicts are going to come into. Because they also are probably going to be pretty narcissistic. Or kind of nihilistic in a way too. They really just want things to go the way in the whole world, that fits them well. So everything, no matter what's going on with everyone else around them, they don't care what it takes to make the world be easy for them in that moment. And they'll do anything to get out of a confrontational situation. So the last thing they want to do is have a confrontation with their kid. So it's easier for them to just kind of, they may like say, no, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, and then the kid will go, but mom, and then mom's like, all right, fine, but be back by this time. Kid doesn't show up on time. So the parents in this situation, they do care, but they don't have the energy or the drive or the backbone to say, okay, you're done, this is not okay. Before I give my opinion on it, I want to describe basically the definition of it. Authoritarian is someone who is very disciplined, requires absolute discipline. So you do what I say, and you do it the way I want it, you do it when I want it, or you are in trouble. You don't talk back to me, you don't do anything without asking me, you don't do any of those things, unless I say so, okay? And what happens is, a lot of times, I guess, these kids, they can end up very antisocial because they don't really trust anyone. They kind of don't know what to do when they get out of their house, or if something happens to the authoritative influence in their life. A lot of times they don't have good relationships because they almost, especially girls, they take their anger out on the male counterparts, their spouses. So they do get somewhat aggressive because most people, they react to what their parents give them. So if they're only getting the authoritarian, a lot of them are very antisocial, easily angered, and it's hard for them to have good relationships. So I wanted to look at this one a little bit further, that's why I stopped. So the uninvolved is basically someone who just doesn't care. Or I would assume that this probably would maybe go towards more of the narcissistic parents, especially mothers. And obviously fathers who leave, who just don't want to, deal with their responsibility. But from the situations I've seen, this would most likely apply to mothers who are probably addicts of some kind, or alcoholics, or are just very narcissistic, involved with men, going from man to man, and, not thinking about what's best for the child. It's always about them. They just kind of let the kids do whatever they want. And this, to me, it's between this one and the next one. I think that this one might be the worst, though. And I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, you just kind of, you give the kid enough to survive, and you just say, figure it out on your own. Okay? There's no direction. There's no, you need to do this, you need to do that. These are the ones who normally would drop out of high school, get pregnant early in life, 15, 16 years old, because they need that attention that they're lacking. That is a big thing for these kind of kids, is they're lacking that attention, and especially with females, because females normally like some sort of male influence. So these kind of girls that grow up in this situation are going to easily be put into a situation where they're going to rely on men to take care of them. Okay? That's the uninvolved parents. So basically they're just kind of letting the kid do whatever and keeping them alive, making sure there's a little bit of food in the house so they don't starve, but they're not calling the police at midnight to see where their kids are. This got me a little bit heated. So when I was going online, and I was or on YouTube, and I was looking up the other ones to try and compare to what other people's opinions, and I assumed that there would be some pretty radical people. The majority of the people agreed that the authoritarian, or not authoritarian, the authoritative, is the correct one. But what I noticed in all these videos is even the people who seemed rational and were going for the authoritarian, the authoritative one, even they're so locked into these boxes that, I mean, like, you can't see any point that it might be reasonable to be a little bit permissive in a certain situation or to be a little bit authoritarian. I mean, they were not even willing to consider the other options. They were so stuck in their box. And I'll get into that more in a second. The subconscious mind, the effect it has, especially on a kid. So when it comes to permissive, it really disgusts me that people are really thinking that they should let their, you know, that it's okay for them to parent as like this. If you are a permissive parent only, then you have not grown up. You are a child yourself, and you're just looking for another friend to get drunk with. Because for you to behave in that manner, that means that you literally care more about yourself than your child, and you're willing to basically watch her in front of you, her or him in front of you, underachieve constantly. Because in the subconscious brain of a child that's raised with that kind of permissive attitude, they're going to, number one, be cocky. They're going to be extremely cocky. And the reason they're going to be cocky is because they have no direction, and they are not going to like authority at all. They're not going to go along with authority. So they will disrespect their parents, their mother, and that's probably one of the reasons why the mother is more passive, or the father, is because they're afraid of the children. Because they have allowed the children to grow up before them, because they were so passive. So that child, I guarantee you, is more than likely to get pregnant before 18, is going to be with many men, most likely, if it's a girl, and if it's a boy, definitely going to be into drugs. I promise you, if you have a passive relationship with a boy, he will be into drugs, guarantee. And they will be underachievers, always. Most of them probably won't even graduate high school. Some of them that are real strong, this would actually probably be a female thing. There may be a couple females in there that would be able to have that drive on their own and, you know, graduate high school and go to college. But the men are very unlikely, because they develop so much slower than women, to be able to graduate high school with that permissive thing. Don't do this. For your sake and for your children's sake, if you see yourself doing this, seek some therapy, do something, because it's not good. Then let's go to the other one that is even, you know, really bad as well, which would be the uninvolved. So an uninvolved parent is basically taking half of that child's life away and saying that they don't deserve it like everyone, all the other kids, all their friends do. Imagine what that would be like to not have half of what you are supposed to have. Everyone else has it, why don't you have it? That will cause some serious damage in a kid's life, and you will regret it when you're you know, and then you're going to come back and you're going to be 50 and you're going to regret it, and you maybe get your life together finally, and then you're going to expect the kid to just, I'm your dad though, I'm your mom though. So? You're not really. You didn't do anything for me, you left. I mean, I don't know how that feels. So, you know, I don't really talk to my dad or anything, but he was there when I was a kid. He's just not now. So I don't know how that would be. But I can assume that it would be horrible, because you go to, you know, you're at a baseball game or something, and all your friends have their parents there, and your mom's at work. So she's not even there, because she's got to work to make sure you guys don't go homeless. Or vice versa with the dad. So this is another one that's just terrible. And it's just not right, it's not fair, and if you allow your child to grow up in that manner, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because it's bad. And some of, you know, you're basically guaranteeing that they're not going to have an easy life. And it's, you know, you're giving them you're breaking their leg when they're about to score a touchdown. I mean, it's really bad and selfish, and you know, it's never too late. You can always change it up, but you better get on it before it's too late. Okay, now comes my favorite too. And they're my favorite two. I mean, the authoritative thing is, the authoritarian thing is whatever. I think that really all of these should be used. I actually would be more close probably to, if I had to choose between authoritarian and authoritative, I would choose authoritarian. Because kids are dumb. I don't know what the hell everyone is thinking, thinking that kids are going to make good decisions. Have you seen people today? Have you seen these people in Antifa and the KKK people, all these kids fighting each other in the streets? Like, what are they doing? You want to tell me that they had authoritative parents, the Antifa people? Or were their parents rich people who were flower children? Yeah, that's called entitlement. And that's called, I'm going to give you what you want. If you have that, and I'm going to give you what you want, you're an okay, you're a good kid, he'll figure it out on his own. They won't figure it out on their own. I mean, not without screwing their lives up. Some of them maybe, but you can't allow kids who are going through puberty and before to make decisions that can impact their lives. Because they're stupid. That's why there are so many pregnant girls running around at 16. Why would you even allow the possibility of that to happen? You don't have to. Not until they're 18. You can teach them everything. You tell them everything they need to know. You explain why you're not letting them do it. You tell them the pros and cons, and you explain these are the possibilities of the good things that could happen by you doing this. These are the possibilities of the bad things that can happen. You are looking at these two things, little girl or little boy, and you're so dumb and easily influenced that you will not make the right decision if one of your friends that you think is cooler than you, or you're some boy you like, if they tell you that they want you to do something, if you really believe that they won't do it, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm sorry. You are out of your mind. Teenage girls will do anything to get a boy's attention. And teenage boys will do anything to get a girl's attention. Or to get their friends to tell them, yeah, good job, bro. If you are really believing that you can allow your 16, 17, 18, 15, 14-year-old kids to make decisions and go to parties and make huge life decisions without you knowing what is going on, you're an idiot. So I would go more towards authoritarian. Be strict. You do what I say. You respect me. Because that's what life's like. There's not going to be a bunch of people handing them stuff. It's like everybody is living in fantasy world where they're just going to, here you go. You think that there's going to be people that's going to guide them along the path when they're, in college? You're crazy. You've got to prepare them for what life is like. You don't have to let them go into situations where the odds are against them. If it was them on their own, sure. But they are so easily influenced by other people because all kids want to do is socialize, and it's stupid. Don't let them do it. So, the best combination is you need to pay attention to the kids. You need to guide them when they need to be guided. You need to let them make their own decisions, but you need to make sure that they don't fuck their lives up. Because if you get pregnant at 16, their lives are going to be fucked. Or even if they're not fucked, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder than it had to be. Their likelihood of going to a good college just got cut 80%. And it's your fault because you didn't want to make them not be like everyone else. You wanted to let them go be like all the other kids, going to parties and drinking and driving and fucking around and smoking weed and drinking at 16 years old when their brains aren't fully developed. Because you want to be a postmodern, you want to be a cool parent. You want to be a flower child. You want to be a feminist and all that nonsense. I understand why you want to be part of a group. Do you really want to group your child into that group of statistics where they're one of those girls who gets pregnant at 16? Just because you trust them? Do you really? Why do you? Do you think that all the mothers that allowed that to happen didn't trust their kids? So you want to take that risk? If you really love your kids, you won't take that risk. You prepare them as much as you possibly can and wait until they are of a maturity that they can make the decisions on their own. Or they turn 18, and at that point, You have taught them, hopefully, if you've done your job as much as you can, and it is not your right to tell them what to do. Hopefully you've done your job and they can make their decisions. But really this whole thing of, let them have their own mistakes, that's parents being lazy and making excuses for it. I mean, come on. Why would you let your teenager have sex? That is the dumbest thing ever. Seriously? And then people will say, oh, well, they're going to do it anyway. No, they're not. Not if you don't let them out of the fucking house. Oh, you're crazy. You're controlling. So what? If she wants to go on a date, fine. She's going to have a chaperone. She's 16. She's not married. She's not even be alone with a dude. What the hell is wrong with everybody? Whew, I hope I don't get a bunch of comments on this. Anyways, it's dumb. The reason being is their subconscious minds are in control of everything and their hormones are overloading. They have not developed enough past experience to make good decisions. And they're not going to listen to their parents when they are brought around other kids, because those kids are going to do anything they can to influence them to get what they want. It's not about controlling them. It is about knowing that the likelihood of them making the right decision is not very likely. And I have straight A student kids, all of them honor students. I don't trust them. I mean, I do, but I'm not willing to take that risk. Because they can wait a couple more years. It's not going to change much. But if they don't wait and they make a stupid decision at 18, 17, 16 years old, the rest of their life is going to be a million times harder. Make them suffer for a little bit if you freaking have to save them from screwing themselves. You idiots. Sorry for going off. But you're an idiot if you're letting them do that. I'm serious. Think about the long... Everybody thinks about the short term. Think about what is best for them in the long run. Teach them everything you can. Give them attention. Help them grow. Put them in healthy social situations. Have them play sports. Go to church. If you don't believe in church, have them go to some sort of community meetings or something. Don't allow them to be around a bunch of kids in the middle of the night, driving around drunk, never really knowing what's going to happen. Because I guarantee you, if they tell you they're doing one thing, that's not true. And if you believe that, you're delusional. So, out of all these, I'll give it to the authoritative. But really, you need to mix all of them. You need to read the kids. You need to talk to your spouse, talk to them. And you need to allow them to give their argument as to why you should let them do what they think. And if they can prove you, if they can argue with you, not argue, but make an argument that you have no way of giving them a reason that they shouldn't be able to do it, then you should allow them to do it. But you should also monitor what they do. Like Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. I guarantee you your kids are lying their asses off. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, I'm sorry for the rant, but I'm not, because I'm sure you enjoyed it. It's funny watching people like me do these kind of things. I used to do it. I'll watch people do it all the time. Like and subscribe if you don't mind, because I only have like 1 subscriber and I'm trying to get more. That'd be cool. Otherwise, I'm just kind of watching myself on YouTube. Just kidding. Anyways, have a good day. Bye.